Get a little camera cleaning here. There we go. Welcome back to the Attack the Rack YouTube channel. This is the Friday morning live show with, it's just me. Every Friday morning, we go live 7 a.m. to talk about the week that was in sports and talk a little bit about what's coming up this weekend. Don't forget, Saturday morning, tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., we've got the Attack the Rack podcast with myself and Big Mo. Also, on Sunday at 9 a.m., we've got our NFL Pick Show with Chad Zagar and Peter Hunsberger every week. They go back and forth, making three picks. And then at 10 a.m., we've got Pete comes back, puts on his prop bet Pete hat, and gives us three prop bets for the day as well. And then don't forget, every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 7 p.m., myself, Big Mo, and Trent, we've got our daily lineup show where we talk about the latest happenings in the world of sports. Ryan Kruitoff has been in real estate for over 20 years, and he can help you with all your real estate needs. Realtor Ryan has helped me in my journey into learning more about real estate, and he can do the same for you. Whether you're looking to buy a home, sell a home, or get into maybe the rental property business, ring Realtor Ryan. All right, well, hey, another thing. I did put out just the interview portion of our last Saturday podcast with Miles Bailey, rising country music star, chasing his dream, living in Nashville. So that is out as well. If you're interested in rewatching, or if you haven't seen that interview yet, it was really, really good. Miles, great dude. I think he's 23 years old, played basketball. Well, he played multi-sports over at Granville High School. But Big Mo and I coached him in basketball. And he has been pursuing a career in country music. He's having all kinds of success. He plays, I think he said 4 to 5 times a week in Nashville. Just last weekend, he had to fly out to Phoenix to play 3 shows. If you want to see him play, he is actually playing tonight, 4:30 p.m. before the Granville homecoming football game at their massive tailgate. So if you want to check him out, head over there, 4:30 p.m. Let's start with the Indiana Fever. That's been the hot topic on the channel this summer. Indiana Fever season has come to an end. They lost in the first round of the playoffs 2-0 to the Connecticut Sun. 87-81 in that final game. It was really a typical Indiana Fever game. I think one thing the Fever got to work on for next season is their highs are so high and their lows are so low. And we saw that again in game 2, the deciding game Wednesday night in the playoffs against the Sun. They got off to a hot start, and then before you know it, Connecticut comes back. Then before you know it, the Fever are down by 10 or 11. And then before you know it, they come all the way back. And then they're down by 10 or 11 again. And it just repeats itself game after game after game, quarter after quarter after quarter. It's almost like you know what's coming. A couple of times they came back down 10 or 11 Wednesday night, and you just knew that within a couple of minutes, they're going to be back down 6, 8, 9 points. And that's exactly what happened. In fact, it happened in the fourth quarter. They came back down 10 or 11 in the fourth quarter. Took the lead even. And then from there, it was all Connecticut Sun. They closed the game out with a 6-point win. So that's pretty frustrating. One other thing they really got to work on is in the offseason, or maybe even try to pick up someone who can play some defense, because they are not good on defense. They play pretty bad overall team defense. Individually, they don't get out on shooter. They give up so many 3-pointers. They don't get a hand up on the shooter. It's really quite frustrating to watch. As much as I love watching them play offense, I can't stand watching them play defense. And they are never going to get to that championship level unless they start playing more consistent defense. Their defense did get quite better after that 3-week Olympic break for a few games. And then the last few games of the regular season and then the 2 playoff games, it's like this is the fever we saw on the defensive end of the floor at the beginning of the season. The other thing about that game, and one thing we noticed, and Big Mo and I, we recorded the podcast yesterday. We talked more about this in the podcast, and in fact, I put that out as a clip too, about the officiating in the WNBA and the officiating we saw Wednesday night. And we've seen it all season long. The officiating in the WNBA is absolutely horrendous. In game 1 and then again in game 2, the Fever needed to use a challenge just because the officials called the foul on the wrong player. So they needed to use a challenge to make sure they got the correct player for the foul. That is ridiculous. And then early on in the game, Caitlin Clark shoots a 3-pointer, comes down on Bonner for the Sun, falls down. You're required to have landing space, and Bonner was right in that landing space. She falls to the ground. Obvious foul right in front of the official, no call. And then in the second half, she's taking a right side layup, gets destroyed by Mabry, no call. But even more so, we've seen things like that all season long. And again, I've only watched Caitlin Clark in the Indiana Fever games. But, we've seen all season long Caitlin Clark handling the ball on the perimeter, in transition, 3/4 court, half court, hands all over her, bumping her all the time. That is a foul. And the officials just don't call it most of the time. So, I don't know. I wonder if there's been so many eyes on the Indiana Fever this year in the WNBA. I wonder if some of that stuff now is being more exposed and will get corrected going into next season. One other thing too, I want to complain about. I'm in a complaining mood, I guess. The way they structure this series. So they're 3-game series, and you get the top seed, which the top seed should have some sort of advantage, right? They've earned that. So it's a 3-game series. The first 2 games are home games for that top seed. That makes no sense. That means the bottom seed doesn't even get an opportunity at a home game. The other thing about that, which is crazy to me, is let's say they split game 1 and game 2, then game 3 now does go to the lower seed. So in the game deciding or the series deciding game, the team with the higher seed is on the road. That also makes no sense. So they need to do home, away, home for that top seed to make it fair. I think that's absolutely obvious. I'm guessing some part of the reason they don't do it that way is to save money on travel expenses. But I'd like to think, the WNBA is making more money. I don't know exactly the numbers. We'll find out. I still think every team besides the Fever and maybe the Fever still are losing money, but I feel like they should. They're bringing in more money. Obviously, let's move some money around to make the playoff structure more legit, more fair. The NBA subsidizes the WNBA. Maybe the NBA can throw a little bit more money at the WNBA to make that more legit. I mean, that is absolutely ridiculous that you make the playoffs and you don't even get a home game necessarily if you lose the first 2 games. And almost even more so ridiculous that the top seed has to go on the road for the game deciding or the series deciding game. I just think that is absolutely crazy. But anyway, season over for the Indiana Fever. Caitlin Clark finished the game Wednesday night, 25 points, 9 assists, 6 rebounds. I believe that is one of the best stat lines ever in the history of the WNBA playoffs for a rookie. No surprise there. Caitlin Clark also named unanimous Rookie of the Year, also named to the first team All WNBA team as a rookie, which is crazy. Aaliyah Boston had another great game. 16 points, 19 rebounds for her. Kelsey Mitchell, who they really need to get over 20 points for them to be successful against a team like the Connecticut Sun. She didn't shoot the ball well. She only had 17 points. I thought she played incredibly selfish as well, trying to do things all on her own. Took a bunch of bad shots. Probably in the second half, I only remember even passing the ball maybe 3, 4, 5 times. So pretty disappointing game for her. But what a season it was for the Indiana Fever. Caitlin Clark had a historic season, the best rookie season in the history of the WNBA. And yeah, Kelsey Mitchell had a rough game, actually a rough playoff series there. But overall, she had a fantastic season. She was a ton of fun to watch. That 1-2 punch, or that 1-2-3 punch with Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Mitchell, and Aaliyah Boston. It was just a lot of fun to watch. It was great basketball, at least, like I said, on the offensive end. I love the way the Fever fly up and down on offense, up and down the court. But yeah, they got to figure out how to play defense, and they should be pretty successful. Lexi Hull kind of, she was super hot after the break. She kind of tailed off a little bit. I do think with that big three of Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Mitchell, and Aaliyah Boston, their potential to be successful, that's a great foundation. They do need better play out of Lexi Hall, more consistent play. And I do think they are still one player away from being able to make a run at a WNBA championship. But I do think that free agents are now going to want to come to Indiana. They're going to want to play with Caitlin Clark. They're going to want to play with a team that potentially the potential is there to have a ton of success. So, really, really slow start for the Indiana Fever. They got off to like a 1-8 start, and then they finished the season 20-20. So after that 1-8 start, they went 19-11. Just were really, really good after that 3-week Olympic break. I think they led the league from that point on in almost every single offensive category. So yeah, just a lot of fun to watch. I'm looking forward to next year already. And speaking of playoffs, our Detroit Tigers still maintain a tie for the second wildcard spot with the Kansas City Royals. The Detroit Tigers have one 3-game series left here with the Chicago White Sox, who are historically have one of the worst records in the history of Major League Baseball. In fact, they only need, I think, 2 losses to break the record. 1 loss to tie the record for most losses in the Major League Baseball season. So if the Tigers can beat them one of those 3 times, they will tie that record. If the Tigers can beat them twice, they will beat that record. Big win last night for the Tigers against the Rays, down 3-0, end up coming back, winning 4-3. Like I said, they're still tied for that second spot with Kansas City. Kansas City won last night as well to maintain that tie. So the magic number for the Detroit Tigers is 2. So what that means is if the Tigers win 2 of the 3 games, they need to win 2 games, and then no matter what, they lock up a playoff spot. Or a 1 win for the Tigers and 1 loss for the Minnesota Twins, that's who's right behind them, will also lock up that spot for the Tigers. So kind of control their own destiny, just get a couple wins for sure, and they are in. So yeah, super exciting. I mean, it's absolutely unbelievable. They have won 73% of their games since August 10, I think. They went the early August, they're 8 games under 500. Now they not finished. They still got 3 more games, but now they are, so early August, 8 games under 500. Now they are 9 games over 500 since August 10. Best record in Major League Baseball, 30-11. That, like I said, that is a 73% win percentage, which is unheard of in Major League Baseball. Granted, we're talking about a 40-game window here, but if you look over the standings across the league, no one is even at 60% win percentage. So absolutely unbelievable what the Detroit Tigers have done the last 5-6 weeks. I can't remember ever seeing anything like it in sports. Literally, they've won 5 in a row, and they are 9-1 in their last 10. Tonight, 6:40, game one of this final 3-game set with the Chicago White Sox. So, knock on wood, I mean, they should be in the playoffs, and that is going to be a ton of fun. We got a lot of winning sports going on right now in Detroit with the Lions and also the Detroit Tigers. It's a ton of fun. It's a great time to be a sports fan here in Michigan. Speaking of Michigan, the Michigan Wolverines, they've got a home game against Minnesota tomorrow at noon. They are a 10-point favorite. That's a little bit surprising. They went back up from ranked 18th in the country. They went all the way back up to 12th in the country. They're going to need to figure out quarterback play. They cannot throw the ball. They have 2 awesome running backs. They can rush for a ton of yards, but the problem is, you got to keep the defense honest. You got to be able to pass a little bit, or else the defense can just load up the box and just focus on the run, knowing that you're going to run it every time. So they got to figure that out. But 3-1, off to a good start. Should get a win tomorrow, high noon, from the Big House. And then the Lions, Monday Night Football this week, home game versus Seattle Seahawks. They are a 3.5 point favorite. Looked a little bit better against the Cardinals last Sunday, at least in the first half. So kind of building a little bit of a rivalry with the Seahawks. So we'll see how that one goes. Again, they are home Monday night -3.5. All right, let's wrap up the show. We've got some birthdays. We've got 2 birthdays, both of them yesterday, Thursday, September the 26th. 2 contributors to the Attack the Rack Sports Media Company. First, Mike Benko. He has been on the podcast a couple of times, long career in professional sports, currently working with Jacksonville Jaguars. Hoping to get him to provide some content for the channel. We've talked about some ideas, and hopefully he'll find some time to give us some content for the channel. He's a very knowledgeable sports guy and a lot of fun, great sense of humor, should provide some laughter to the Attack the Rack Sports Media Company. So looking forward to him doing more stuff with us. And then also yesterday, September 26th, Sam Callejas, who you've seen recently on the channel. Sam is our Michigan football guru. He's been on a couple times in the last few weeks talking Michigan football, and he's going to continue to do so during the duration of the season. So huge shout out to those guys. Thank you so much for being part of the Attack the Rack YouTube channel, the Attack the Rack Sports Media Company, supporting us. I know you guys follow our content as well, and greatly appreciative of that. Let's talk about who you guys share a birthday with September the 26th. First of all, baseball, longtime baseball great Dave Martinez. Also, the late great running back, no more so from the New Orleans Saints, superstar on Tecmo Super Bowl, Craig Ironhead Hayward. Great running back, a lot of fun to watch. And then from the legendary R&B group, Sean Stockman shares a birthday with you guys. Also R&B singer and actress, Christina Milian. And then one more for you guys, one of the greatest, probably the greatest women's tennis player of all time, maybe even the greatest women's athlete of all time. Long time, successful career in tennis, Serena Williams. You guys share a birthday with Serena Williams as well. So happy birthday, guys. Hopefully your birthday was yesterday, but hopefully you continue to celebrate through the weekend and have a great weekend. I hope everyone watching has a great weekend, starting today with a great Friday. If you or anyone you know does have a birthday coming up, you can email me at attacktherack3333 @gmail.com. Let me know and I will give a birthday shout out to that person along with the famous people they share a birthday with. All right, guys, have a great weekend. Enjoy the Detroit Tigers this weekend. Enjoy the Michigan game. Enjoy the Lions game, or enjoy whatever college football team you root for. Enjoy whatever NFL team you root for. And we will see you tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., Attack the Rack podcast with myself and Big Mo. And then right back Sunday morning, 9 a.m. for the NFL Pick Show with Peter Hunsberger and Chad Zagar. And then at 10 a.m. Sunday morning, Prop Bet Pete Show, giving us 3 prop bets for the day. And as far as this show, we'll see you back 7 a.m. next Friday morning.